Much work remains to be done, but my relationship with Kim Jong-un is a good one. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam.
So the dates are set for that next summit, but a new report from NBC News reveals the president may not be fully informed on the latest U.S. intel. And we quote, Trump does not regularly read the written intelligence briefings sent over each day to the White House, U.S. officials tell NBC News, and in private he frequently questions the integrity and judgment of the intel officials who are giving him secret information. The president has been alone among U.S. officials with a benevolent, often affectionate impression of Kim Jong-un. In the past, he's jokingly talked about falling in love with him. He has talked glowingly about the beautiful letters he has received from Kim. Here is what Donald Trump's director of national intelligence and CIA director said about Kim just a week ago.
North Korea will seek to retain its WMD capabilities and is unlikely to completely give up its nuclear weapons and production capabilities because its leaders ultimately view nuclear weapons as critical to regime survival.
The regime is committed to developing a long-range nuclear armed missile that would pose a direct threat to the United States.
We are awfully happy to have back on the broadcast with us tonight Tom Nichols. He's a professor of national security affairs at the U.S. Naval War College and a specialist on Russian affairs. Hey, Tom, how alarmed should people be? The difference between Donald Trump civilian and Donald Trump as president, of course, is he's playing with House money now, and he's playing with our national security. 17 security briefings in 85 days. Should people be alarmed?
I think it's always something to be concerned about when the president's not listening to his own intelligence experts. He has no other source of information, really. He's got the best sources of information in the entire world at his fingertips. And if he's not using those, then you have to ask the question, where is he getting his information? When he contradicts Dan Coats or Gina Haspel, how does he know what he's saying? Where is he getting that information? So, yeah, it's very concerning. It's very worrisome.
I also have to play for you a snippet from last night's speech. I actually thought of you and what your reaction might be to this, because you and I have discussed this subject before. Here is Donald Trump on North Korea.
If I had not been elected president of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea.
Tom, what a sweeping thing to say that ignores the rigor that went into keeping the peace for decades of our lifetime.
Important to note here that I don't speak for the government on any of this. I was pretty stunned by that comment, not least because one of the reasons that we were heading toward a conflict with North Korea, in my opinion, is that the president was creating a conflict with North Korea that he now wants credit for getting out of. He was ratcheting up the rhetoric, talking about how big his button was and American military might. I mean, we've had a tense, uneasy relationship with North Korea since the last time we went to war with them in the 1950s. And that situation isn't getting any better. And for the president to claim that but for his presence in the Oval Office, there would have been a war, I think is just irresponsible. It doesn't make any sense. But as is often the case, I think the president, because of his career on television and in business, I think the president thinks that you make things true by saying them often enough. But I don't think that that was at all the case. And there are a lot of other very responsible people in the government who were making sure that we didn't end up in a shooting war with the North Koreans.
And now to a lot of your life's work. For those of us who lived through the Cold War, this felt a little back to the future today. Here's the New York Times about Putin's new invincible missiles. Quote, alarmed by the Trump administration's scrapping of a Cold War era arms control treaty, the INF, Putin has ramped up warnings that his country is developing new hypersonic missiles that will travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound and will be, for good measure, invincible. Tom, please reassure the folks watching tonight that their children can sleep safely in their beds.
your children can sleep just as safely tonight as they did the night before or a year ago. Hypersonic weapons are a real thing. Countries are trying to develop them. It's a new technology on the horizon, but this is just a lot of gas from Putin. I mean, Putin talks about this kind of stuff a lot. Even 10, 12, 15 years ago, he talked about invulnerable Russian warheads that could evade any American defenses. A lot of this is just for domestic consumption in Russia to keep his image alive as a strong, tough leader who keeps Russia on the bleeding edge of nuclear technology. But those weapons don't exist. They're not going to exist tomorrow. They're not going to exist for several years. So I think people should, on that one, I think people can sleep a little more soundly.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.